Devos for racism and some particular policy that she tried to pass, more slashing of things. So let me actually go.
So we know that Betsy Devos is an absolute disaster, but it turns out she's a disaster for more reasons than we thought.
Yes, she is.
Absolutely, yeah. So everyone knows she testified before a House Appropriations Subcommittee on Trump's 2020 budget, specifically for her department. Many topics came up. A lot of you, and rightfully so, have been talking about the Special Olympics cuts because that was horrible. Yeah. I think that's a good word for it. But something else happened deplorable. Yes, exactly. Something else happened that John kind of alluded to that I think we were both surprised. A lot of people weren't talking about.
I hadn't heard about it until you talked about it. Right.
See, that's what I'm saying. I didn't even know about this until I heard this shit.
The Trump administration rescinded Obama-era guidance that was set out to attempt to make sure schools didn't unfairly discipline black students. In DeVos's school safety report from earlier this year explaining the decision to do that, she cited a study that is concerning at best, racist at worst, and most accurate. Congresswoman Catherine Clark, though, kind of held her to that citing of that study and tried to get her to answer to it. I want you to watch this.
This report says, studies suggest that school disciplinary rates may reflect the problematic behaviors of black youth. Problem behaviors that are imported into schools and into classrooms. They go on to say, difference in rates of suspensions between racial groups appear to be a function of differences in problem behaviors that emerge early in life, remain relatively stable over time, and then materialize in the classroom. And this report that you've cited and based as your theory concludes by saying the association between school suspensions and blacks and whites reflects long-standing behavioral differences between youth. Apparently, that it is not racial discrimination and discipline, but there are some characteristics of black children that from this report start very early in life, well before they get to the classroom.
Yeah, so that is real.
That whole shit is ridiculous, dude.
That is insane.
And this is how white people really think. Like that. These older white people like Trump and the rest of them, this is how they were grown. They grew up. Exactly. This is how they were raised, and this is the reason why I believe that this entire push is like happening right now. Like this entire and this push that I mean, I'm going to clarify that, but this push to like more progressiveness. With all of these 18-year-olds. I think are they considered Generation Z or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So like these new like generation Z-ers. That like this push and this age of information, all of this that's coming out because this is the shit that they were doing in like the 60s and apparently especially the crack epidemic here in Harlem and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This was what
it's
did you think
idea
about that?
Like behind super predators, right?
Thank you. Yes.
But yeah, it's
inherently that just black people are just vicious and bad, like because
It's insane, and it does inform. Yeah. It informs policy, and I think that people think that it's harmless.
This is policy that she was actually going. This is policy that she was putting through.
When you teach this when you teach this to people, they grow up, they become officials, they write policy, and they put shit in place.
Yep.
That has an effect on people. I mean, these kids are getting.
This would have been a lasting effect. Like, and we see the racial injustices that are happening in the classroom, the statistics that are out there, like it's 50%, like it's I believe a high percentage where a black kid will, get the most extreme punishment over a white kid.
No, you see it all the time.
They'll get suspended for like days, but the white kid or whatever the case is may get like just like a warning or something.
Because inherently in their minds they feel like the black kids are violent, and they feel like the white kid is just like, oh, like he's just boys would be boys.
Talk to them.
Like he's just whatever.
Yeah.
And this has lasting effects. I mean, if you want to dive deeply into why they believe that, it's because if you keep putting people in these communities where there's gun violence and they're being attacked by the cops and they have poverty,
and then
you're going
point
to be a
at
little
them,
bit more.
and then point at them and say, look, they're violent. But we also know, and as you said repeatedly on this podcast, that black people and white people and Spanish people don't kill more than the other.
You hurt people within your community. And
exactly.
Then anybody who's grown up in that environment is going to behave that same way.
There you go.
It's not something that's inherent in you because